Someone chose to end their relationship with you. Someone chose not to be with you anymore. They left out of their own free will. There's not a lot more that can happen in an adult's life that's as painful and potentially damaging to your self-esteem. A breakup can leave you feeling rejected, discarded, abandoned. You not only miss your ex, you also miss feeling good about yourself. There is a way to process this, though, and emerge with newfound inner strength. The pivotal point that determines how your breakup will affect you and your self-esteem is the story you tell yourself about the breakup and what that means for what you choose to do or not do action-wise. The story you tell is an expression of, and it forms your beliefs, and your beliefs guide your actions. And combined, they shape, constitute, and express your self-esteem. Next, I want to talk you through stories you might be inclined to tell yourself about the breakup, and choices, actions, and behavior you might feel stuck in that negatively affect your self-esteem. And I want to explain how you can turn this around so that your self-esteem isn't damaged, but perhaps even strengthened by this experience. The incredible pain you're in right now, the shame, insecurities, and self-doubt can propel a journey on which you rethink yourself, your choices and beliefs so much and so fundamentally that you emerge stronger and more resilient than you ever were before the breakup. It probably doesn't feel like that right now, but that's the chance this devastating experience holds for you. Now, let's start with unhelpful story number 1. My ex is irreplaceable. They are special and perfect. This story is called idealization of your ex. It's when your psyche turns them into a superhero and exaggerates their capabilities, power, and qualities into an ideal of a human being that doesn't actually exist. Of course, most people think that their ex is special, otherwise they wouldn't have chosen to be with them. Idealization goes beyond this, though. This story doesn't stop at my ex is a special person, but in the emotional overwhelm after the breakup, your psyche makes it seem like your ex was the most special person on the planet and the ideal perfect match for you. You might be inclined to go along with this version of reality because it has emotional, psychological, mental advantages. One of these advantages is that it explains the scope of your pain and devastation. Your pain may be so overwhelming and confusing that no other version of reality, no other explanation seems to make sense other than the story about your ex having been your ideal partner and now you lost them. This can feel so true because in the intensity of your pain and the despair of the aftermath, any little thing your ex does affects you deeply, whether or not they text, when or if they're coming over to get something from your previously shared home. Any little decision your ex makes has tremendous consequences for your emotions. And the intensity of that and of the breakup is so surprising to you that your psyche concludes the only logical explanation for that is that your ex is somehow extremely powerful and special. The negative consequence of this story is that it creates a hierarchy in which your ex is on a pedestal and you're in an inferior position. This story implies that you're not as good as them, that you depend on them. And this is not at all good for your self-esteem, so make sure not to stick with this story. The truth is, what you're going through is very human. Our bodies and minds are wired to respond with devastation to abandonment. To our brain, attachment and abandonment are matters of life and death. The reason your biology is responding like this is because that's what happens when humans are abandoned. It's not because of your specific ex. You'd feel this deep pain even if your ex were somebody else. Your ex is probably not a superhero. They're probably a regular human being, and this power they have over your emotions right now actually originally came from you. You gave them that power when you got together with them. That's what happens when we enter a relationship. We make ourselves vulnerable. Your ex isn't better or more important than you on an existential level. Your existential equals. You're important, you matter, and you're a good person. Number 2, I single-handedly ruined everything. This story is centered around ruminations about what you did wrong, what you may have done wrong, and what you could have done differently. You might notice how instead of relaxing into your bed in the evening, you're lying there rethinking every word you ever said and anything you ever did and what you could or should have done differently. The subconscious benefit of these ruminations is that they give you a sense of pseudo-control over the situation and hope. As long as you keep worrying and ruminating about what you should have done differently, it feels like there's still hope of getting back together and that it's within your power to make this happen. However, if you stick with this story that it was you alone who ruined everything and that everything that happened was your sole responsibility, it'll have damaging consequences for your self-esteem. If you stay in this ruminating thought loop, all you'll be thinking about is your weaknesses and mistakes. And in the long run, this over-awareness of your real and imagined flaws will leave you feeling like there's something wrong with you in an inherent, fundamental sense. That's not something you want, so be realistic about what you contributed and what your ex contributed to the breakup. Create a positive action plan for the things you want to work on in yourself. Set that into motion and then stop ruminating about your flaws. Allow yourself to let go of pseudo-hope and pseudo-control. They're not good for your self-esteem in the long run. Number 3, I'll never find this kind of a love again or anything that comes close. It's hopeless and I'm helpless. In the depths of your despair, it's common to feel hopeless. It's natural to grieve your loss and to need time for that. It's natural to feel intense pain during and after a breakup. You can support yourself throughout this experience and your sense of self-worth by separating facts from what feels true when you're overwhelmed by grief. The fact is, if you choose to, you can find a love that is just as fulfilling, maybe even deeper. As you go through this experience, it's likely you'll learn things about yourself and your psychological architecture. You'll learn who and what types of people you felt spontaneously attracted to in the past, why, and whether or not this spontaneous attraction you feel is a helpful guide. You'll work through attachment issues and increase your capacity for emotional connection, emotional intimacy, and love. When you emerge from the breakup, you'll be at a totally different starting point, and it's likely that your next relationship will be even more satisfying emotionally. Number 4, others are judging me. This story makes you believe that because it's supposedly shameful to be abandoned, others are judging you for it. It makes you feel ashamed of being alone, of going out alone, thinking that if others see you out and about all alone, they'll think that you're alone because something's wrong with you, that you're not desirable, and that you failed. If you believe these thoughts, you'll probably feel inclined to stay at home and isolate. The combination of these thoughts and actions is poison for your self-esteem. So instead, focus on kind friends and family that are supportive. Remind yourself that strangers at a restaurant or the movies have no way of knowing why you're there on your own. And even if they did, only a small percentage would actually judge you for it. Most would probably celebrate you taking positive action on your behalf. You're not single because you're undesirable, but because you're going through change and personal growth. Number 5, I'm unworthy of love. I saved the worst story for last. This narrative is at the heart of the shame of being abandoned, and also a crucial element of all the other stories and part of what makes them so harmful. If your pain after this breakup is very intense, it's likely that it's not only about this breakup, but that other older wounds have reopened as well. You may fear that the breakup is a confirmation of your worst fears of being undesirable, unlovable, and unworthy of love and connection and belonging. To heal these old wounds, you can look into inner child work, either with self-help or a professional or both. Whatever you choose to do, the most important thing to aim for is strengthening your conviction of your fundamental worth and lovability.